Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back, Wendy. As always, it's great to see you here on the Money Move Show.
It's good to be here.
Good deal. I know. Chime in. That's your cue. Chime in. Chime in. Obviously, we're not professionals here. We are professionals in our industry, but when it comes to the live stream stuff, we're kind of just getting it all figured out. But we are here to help you with your money. Today, what we're talking about is the 4 key people you need on your money team. And you're like, what money team? You need a money team. So do me a favor. Reach out to other entrepreneurs you know. We're going to get started in just a second. Say, hey, you need to be on this. You need to be on this live stream. Listen to what these two are talking about. The 4 key people on your money team coming right up. And we're back. I'm slightly off camera. That's okay. That's all part of the learning process. So Wendy, you and I talked about this a little bit, and today we're talking about you can't do this alone. You can start, but eventually you're going to need to surround yourself with what we call the money team, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How do you say that?
The money team.
The money team. The money.
It makes you feel a lot better to have people around you that know what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things. I had a gentleman by the name of Greg Kapp taught me, know what you know what you don't know, and know where to go to get the information that you don't know. Right.
Yep.
Something like that. And so that's one of those things that you can try. And I see people, especially when they first start up, trying to do it on a bootstrap. We talked about that on one of our episodes too. And you can do that for a little while and you get away from it, but you start looking at, okay, what am I really missing out on? And if you're not planning for all these different avenues, that we're getting ready to talk about, you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table, and you're working so hard, right? At least I am. I don't know, right?
I work pretty hard, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to maximize that, and have people around you that are going to help you, level up, right? That are going to help you keep more, and that's what this whole show, Money Moves, is about. If this is your first time watching us, be sure to click that subscribe button. But that's what this whole show is about. It's teaching you how to make more money, multiple streams of income. How do I save more of my money? How do I grow more of my money and have my money working for me? And how do I keep and protect that money from market loss, taxes, and whatever else that may come out there? Because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. Not that it's all about money. Money's just a tool, but it's about maximizing your efficiency in this stuff. And you need a team of people around you. So if I were going to say money team, right, Wendy? And I just did. So I'm not going to say it. I just said it. So what's the first person that kind of jumps out of your mind? I mean, who do you think, maybe not in any certain order, but what's one person or individual or somebody that you want on your money team? Who would it be?
Yeah. The first thing that, because of my history, is the right accountant / tax preparer / CPA.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I think of. Yeah,
exactly. And you may think, okay, and I've actually got business clients, I do financial planning. And I've got business clients that, they're smaller companies and they're still doing things on, TurboTax and things like QuickAnd, TurboTax. And yeah, it's okay. But you start looking at tax strategy. And I hear time and time again, I need to start an LLC and everything will be okay with taxes. LLCs do not protect you from taxes. They protect you from legal issues, but not taxes. And that's why, and again, I'm not a consultant tax professional. That's what we're telling you to do. But you want to find somebody who's in your corner and it's going to help you navigate that crap. Because I don't know about you, anytime I get a letter with that little, that bird on there, that eagle, and it says the internal revenue, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're coming after me. I don't know what happened in my childhood to make me, their propaganda worked, right? And I'm like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I found a guy who's awesome, and he helped me with all this. And, so that tax preparer is key. And it doesn't have to be a CPA. CPA, if you're a larger business, that's a certified public accountant. They went to additional schooling and things like that, and you're going to pay for those letters too. So if you're running on a budget, there are a lot of great tax preparers out there. Interview them though. Okay. Yes. And what I'm not saying is I'm not naming names of companies, but don't just walk into any old branch that you see with that, big green square and say, hey, this is what's going on. And they'll say, yeah, I can do it. You want find somebody who, if they used to work at the IRS, even better, because they're going to know those codes, right? And interview them. and ask some certain questions. I mean, I don't know. How did you meet your tax person?
Highly recommended from the top leaders in my profession
Yep.
to help them save the most money. Here's the thing. If you have a business, don't use the automated online stuff. I did that in the beginning, and you're losing money. You're losing money because either you could get a bigger return or pay less if you're paying in most of the time. Because I mean, and just to give you one example, in 2016, I made about the same revenue as I made in 2020. 2016 was a really big, kind of accidentally big year for me. And I paid $55,000 in 2016. That's what I owed the IRS versus 2020, a return.
Wow.
That's a big, big change. And pretty much the same revenue in each year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, 2020, we had a little bit of the stimulus stuff factored into there. And I have extra children that I didn't have in 2016. But still, that's a vast difference. And I realize now how much money I could have saved by hiring the right person. And I'm talking, we went from paying somebody $350 to $1,350, an extra $1,000, which people freak out that an account.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to spend. I don't want to spend any more money.
Right. However, saving me basically $55,000.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. And I'd use one of those big box stores because I absolutely hate taxes. I don't like to be around them. I don't like to pay them. I will pay them. I'm legal. I'm legit. But I don't want to prepare them and things like that. I've got a higher and better use of my time in my business, right? But I went to one of the big brick stores. You know what I'm talking about, right? And I think we paid like $900 to have my taxes done. And it was outrageously expensive. And so I interviewed some people. I actually met the person that prepares my taxes. He lives 2 cities over. I mean, it's an hour and a half drive for me to his office. And I still go in. I like to have that conversation. And most stuff we do online, but he's worth it. Yeah. And he charged me about half to do my taxes. Not only that, he gave me some good advice on X, Y, or Z. So, you talk about how do you find the right person then? So you did something that every one of you should do, which is talk to your peers and say, who do you recommend? Who do you know?
People that are living the life you want or the income you want in the industry you're in, ask them.
Exactly. Ask them, who do you use for taxes, right? So the other piece was I took in I think it was my 2018 taxes. I had them done already. The ink was dry. Everything was paid. The pain, the blood had already left my body, right? And so I gave him those taxes. I said, hey, do me a favor, take a look at these and I'll pay you for your time if you want me to. What would you have done differently? And he said, all right, give me a couple of days. And I came back and he's like, okay, I looked at your tax. I'm like, okay, did I do good? He's like, you paid about twice the amount in taxes that you needed to. Something everybody wants to hear, right? Everybody wants to hear that. So I'm like, okay, what do you mean? So he did my taxes this year. My income went up dramatically and over the last year, and I paid about the same in taxes, even though my income went up. I think it was like 240%. And again, not cutting any corners, not breaking any rules. It's all about having the right person and them knowing the tax codes and teaching you how to do it, right? We set up an S corp, things like that. And again, until you cross 6 figures, keep it simple, right? Don't overcomplicate things if you don't need to. But that's why you build a team. And that number one person, that cornerstone is that tax preparer, that CPA or whatever your level is at of what you can afford and what you want to do. But get somebody who knows their stuff. And like I said, there's a lot of great tax preparers out there. And there's some that are just going to be as safe as possible and just do what they need to do to charge you. And then that's it. They don't really care to help you grow. So number one is tax preparers. Another one that I really think about it kind of ties to tax preparing or tax preparation are the bookkeepers, right? Having a good bookkeeper. Yeah. That's something that it goes back to highest misuse. We've talked about commingling before. You don't want to have your personal business and your business or your personal money, your business money mingling together. You want to keep that separate. And that can be kind of a pain in the butt to keep track of, right?
Yep.
So go ahead.
I'm a huge fan of having a bookkeeper. I didn't until this year. I mean, I did have somebody last year, but they weren't like a full-time. That wasn't their main gig. And then this year I had to have people fix that. So I'd say get a good bookkeeper. They're not really that much money.
No, they're
And
not.
they save you a lot of stress. And then come tax time, you're not all like, "Whoa," right? I like taxes. Part of how I got messed up in my taxes was I didn't have a good bookkeeper, and it was such a mess. It took me like weeks to get my taxes prepared for my accountant. So
Yeah.
having a good bookkeeper just will keep you sane.
It will. And
Well, they can give you reports where you can look at, going back to what we talked about last week, right? Is that when you separate out the funds if you can know your numbers, when you have a bookkeeper that's doing things the right way, they can run reports and you can actually see how your business is doing.
yeah. And that's one of the things, folks. And she mentioned the stress, and Wendy, it was a joke around, my organization around October, right? The 1st of October. Cause I never did it in April because I always filed the extension. Right. And then, all of a sudden it's that last crunch of trying to get everything organized, okay, we got to pull all the numbers together and all the receipts and this, that, or the other, and trying to bring it all together. And, I used to joke that, well, the reason I do it last minute, because it only takes a minute if you wait to the last minute. Right. Bad advice right there, folks. Don't do that.
Horrible.
But that's horrible advice. But it's one of those things that I finally recognized, hey, this is an area where I need to spend some money to bring on some people to offload this stress, because it was very stressful. And it took a while, Wendy, like you said, to unwind some of those bad habits. It took a while to actually do that. First, we set up the escort and things like that, and then that went. And then the next year, we brought in the bookkeeper, and they kind of took over. So it was a couple of years, 18 months in transition to get it to run over smoothly. But yeah, on the other side of that, it's like, this is great, man, because I can focus on what I want to focus on, which is working with my clients and teaching people how to open an agency. That's what I divide my time with in my business.
And to that point, I was going to save this point for the end, but you just said it there. And you remember this conversation with me, John, when I was like, my IRS attorney was like, you crush it at what you do. Like, let the people that are good at money handle the money. Mm-hmm. I was feeling like defeated. I think I might have even cried on the phone with you once. I was feeling so defeated and crushed and like a failure because of the situation I got myself in with my taxes, that I felt like it defined me in a way, right? And my IRS attorney was like, Wendy, I'm sitting here looking at the income you like literally create out of nothing, and I'm amazed. I could never do what you do. She's like, but I'm really good with taxes. Like, let me do what I'm good at. So she said, Wendy, you lean in on where you're gifted and surround yourself with the right people that are talented in the other areas that they love to support you. And it was like, I mean, I don't know. That was a game-changing moment for me, because it gave me permission to thrive in where I'm good and to allow myself to bring on the people. You know, like sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think we have to like do everything and be the best at everything.
No.
We have that spirit about us. And I don't know, it was just nice to have permission and go, you know what? I get to bring those people in and allow them to use their gifts, right? To help
for your business, to use their gifts for your business. And that's the key. Right. And again, I know entrepreneurs, we try to do that. And it starts with that, hey, I'm starting small. I got to do a little bit of everything. I'm wearing all the hats, right? But as you start to grow, these are the first people you need to start looking at building a team out, right? And they don't have to be full-time bookkeepers, right? It's not like Wendy's got a bookkeeper sitting off camera waiting for something to put into the ledger, right? That's not the case. There are a lot of part-time bookkeepers out there that do this for multiple clients. They're a shared resource. My admin, for example, is a shared resource. But it's one of those things that that's how you do it as an entrepreneur. But you do not want to spend time on things that are going to stress you out, that don't tie directly to a money-making activity. And that's not what that is. That's more a money preservation activity. But you need that person around you. So, number one, the tax preparer. Number two, the bookkeeper. They kind of go hand in hand. Number three is that, still talking about that money piece, is the financial planner, right? And I'm going to let Wendy talk. That's what I do. I got a lot. We talk about that for an hour, right? But Wendy, why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. That's something I always have hesitated with as a financial planner, because I'm like, I don't make enough money to put any money away, which I'm learning. Everyone makes enough money. You just got to.
Everybody. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you make $20,000 a year, you can invest, and you need to. So yeah, that's another area where for me, like, I didn't know the things, right? I didn't know what I should invest my money in, how I should save for retirement, none of that stuff. And there's so much information out there. And it's like, I compare it to like when you're trying to lose weight and there's so many people giving you opinions. And there's so many people that have their ways of doing things. And, with money, my dad would be like, you need to do this, 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 and this. And then the friend would be like, oh, I invest in blah, blah, blah. So many messages out there, right? So find your person that you trust. For me, that's John Cleaver. I'm like, okay, I've got to know this guy. I trust him. You're not out to screw me. Like, you're out to help me. And you know your stuff, right?
So thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but what she's talking about, I mean, just like anything, right? You want to have a conversation with them. If you're talking to somebody and they're like, this is what I do, with everybody, it's not what you want.
You don't want a one size fits all.
No. And if they're not trying to educate you, and that's one of the philosophies that my company, it's Pinnacle Elite Turning Point Group is my company. Black Swan is our educational channel. But, our whole goal is I want light bulbs going off. Like Wendy was talking about, all of a sudden those paradigm shifts in your mind, right? Okay, I get it. That's when you start making some real money moves. Okay, for the simple fact, now you understand the rules of the game. You've heard us talk about that before in the past. You've got to know the rules of the game, whether it's a work environment, life environment, or money, before you can start winning. Okay, it just isn't going to happen for you. So, in talking to that financial planner, have a conversation with them and make sure they're in the same boat with you. I mean, I've had clients come in, and I interview my clients too, because that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is I get to work with who I want to, and I don't have to work with them if I don't want to. And so you want to make sure that they're in alignment with what your goals are and everything else. But yeah, like Wendy said, I mean, it's something that you need a direction on that money. Okay, you're going to be making a bunch of money. The last thing you want to do is just spend it, right? And a lot of people do, and all of a sudden lean times come on, and they got nothing to show for it. Or they put it in a bank because they don't know what to do with it, right? And a bank is a great place to store cash, not to grow cash, okay? Yeah. And technically, you're actually losing because if you look at your bank account, it's probably paying you 0.0 nothing. Inflation right now, folks, is almost 6%. So that $100 bill is actually buying you $94 next year. So it's losing money. So you want to make sure you're outpacing that and protecting it and things like that. And that's where a good financial planner is going to help you sit down and spread out where your money is and spread the risk and talk about more areas than just growth, because you got protection, you got budgeting and all that kind of stuff. And if you're interested, I'm going to throw my plug out here. If you want a free plan, mention Black Swan Money and go to johncleaver.com and schedule some time. It'll ask you, how did you hear about us? Put Black Swan Money, and then you'll get a free financial plan. So, but yeah, that's part of it, is that financial planning, because I'm making this money. I've got this business. It's growing. And now I want my money working for me while I'm asleep.
What do you do with it? I overwhelmingly, like, I was at an event that we qualified for with my business. And so everyone there is making decent money in network marketing. And I was having conversations with people, and I couldn't believe how many people were like, I'm making this money, I just don't know exactly what to do with it.
Yeah.
Or there's this viral TikTok like sound bite going around where you pull it up and it says your bank account balance. Have you heard it? It's $12
million or whatever. Yeah.
I'm like, you're the dumbest millionaire I ever met if that's your checking account balance.
Yeah. Seriously, right? Seriously.
But you must have won the lottery and you're going to be broke in a week.
Well, it's funny you say that. So here's the thing, and there's a TikTok about this, and the guy that actually put it out there, he's a real estate guru, and he and I connected offline, because I really liked it, and I chimed in and made a comment privately to him about it. And his comment was, you could take all the money in the world and divide it equally, give everybody 25,000 or whatever the case may be, right? And divide it equally among everybody. At the end of 5 years, the rich would be rich again, and the poor would be poor again. Okay. And you see that all the time with lottery winners, people that have big inheritance, that comes in, through a family windfall or something like that, because they don't understand how money works. They don't understand the rules of the game. So they keep playing by their old rules, and they have that broke mindset of, okay, well, this is what I do, and da-da-da-da-da. And you'd be amazed at how many people come out of the woodwork when you all of a sudden come into a windfall of money. Okay, that's why you quietly stack your cash, folks. But it's one of those things that all of a sudden people just start coming. You get cousins I never even heard of coming. Hey, what about da 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 da? Right? It's like, I don't know you. Never gotten a Christmas card from you. Move on down the road. But that's what happens because we don't know those rules. And that again, what you said, Wendy, that's why it's so critical that you have a financial planner as part of your money team.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's another one here, and you're going to kind of maybe jump back. I don't know if you've thought about this a little bit. Having an attorney or lawyer, right, on your money team. That's well, wait a minute, they're not making any money. Lawyers cost money. Everybody, when I say that word lawyer, it's almost like I said the IRS, right? It's like, and I know some good attorneys I know a good attorney out there, right? He's a nice guy. He's the one. I'm kidding. But it's one of those that, attorneys play a critical role in all this too, right? I mean, what do you think about that, Wendy?
Yeah. And there's different types of attorneys, right? For different things. But I definitely am learning as I grow my business, the importance of having an attorney in your corner that you can ask questions to and get advice on. And like, if you want to grow something big, kind of going back to that vision piece, right? Like, set yourself up in the beginning for the big vision you have in the future. I have an IRS attorney. I'm now looking at hiring an IP attorney, so intellectual property for trademarking and copywriting and things like that, to protect my intellectual property, because that can be stolen. And that's honestly most of what I put out there is my IP, right? And so an attorney, just a business attorney, to be able to ask business advice. Right now I'm talking to somebody about co-owning a business, and we have an attorney drafting up papers, right? So there's so many different times that you need an attorney in business. So having one as a point of contact, I think, but then I know you have some advice on where people can go to start. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously as a new entrepreneur, budgets are tight, right?
Right.
Because you've got minimal income, and whenever you're starting a business, it's always, you're spending a lot of money. But, this isn't something, on all of these, you don't want to cut corners on. Even if you're just having initial conversations of, okay, I'm not ready to do anything yet. I'm literally at step 1, but I want to know and make sure that I'm headed in the right direction to meet you at step 5, Mr. and Mrs. Financial Planner, or Mr. and Mrs. Tax Preparer, or whatever, to make sure we're headed down that direction. And, more than likely, they're going to help you and give you that advice and things like that. So, with an attorney, you've got to have that same kind of deal. So if you're in a smaller town, maybe somebody went to school with somebody. What you don't want to do is, just because somebody's an attorney doesn't mean they know everything about all law. Okay. Like Wendy said, you've got estate attorneys, you've got divorce attorneys, you've got family attorneys, all kinds of different attorneys, criminal attorneys and things like that. But you want to find somebody who's a business attorney, and, just connect with them, through social media or whatever. There's also groups out there. I'm not going to name any names, but if you've been around and gone to networking meetings, I'm sure you've met them, that they're network marketing that deal with attorneys. I think there's a couple of them out there. But that's a great way to get some, at least have access for a cheap monthly fee or inexpensive monthly fee, because the services are good. I'm actually a client of one of them, and I've been for years, and it was a great way to start out. And I just held on to it because every once in a while I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, what about this? Oh, okay. And that's where you get that little bit of legal advice, right? And like Wendy said, if you're doing something where you've got IP or trademarks, things like that, like Black Swan, we trademarked that when we started. Just to make sure that you protect that IP and you protect your assets, because if you're not selling tangible products, people will come and glom on and try to take your stuff, right? You see it all the time on the internet, right? So that's something that, you want to be aware of, and it's a key part of your team. Is it going to make you money right out of the gate? No, but it's going to protect the assets you have created, right? Absolutely. Last thing you want to bring it in and build it, and then it's going right out the back door because it's, you don't have that your six protected, right? Use military terms, but it's one of those that you've got to have that as part of your team. So those are the 4 that you really need to start with. Your kind of your cornerstone. So number 1 is that tax preparer or CPA, right? Somebody who knows the tax world. Don't try to learn it. You don't need to. Don't try to build an empire on Quicken, right?
Don't keep up your tax code laws every year.
Yeah, that literally changed 3,500 pages. Number 2 is that bookkeeper. That kind of ties to it. Number 3, the financial planner. You're making the money. Now what? How do I get my money making money for me while I'm asleep? And then lastly is that attorney piece, right? Those are the 4. There are a couple of others though, and these are the bonuses, right? So we're going into the bonus time of our program, and I'm going to be quick on this. But number 1, social media, or marketing. You want to have somebody who can help you with that. Now, you may naturally be good at that, but you want to have somebody that you can lean on or reach out to help you with those areas, because that's where everything's going to. And if you're not on social media, if you're not out there and building a marketing program, you're going to fall behind the 8 ball. I mean, I shared in other episodes, that's how Wendy and I actually met. We met at a networking group, and she mentioned that she had social media training and stuff like that. So I jumped on the bandwagon on that one. I'm like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. And it's taken my game. It's definitely helped me level up 2 or 3 times, right? And we're still growing. The other person that I want around, and Wendy mentioned this earlier, and I didn't jump on it then, so I'm going to jump on it now. People that you want to be like, you want to have them as part of your team as a mentor. Okay. Yeah. And so I want somebody making twice what I make. So that way I can know how to get, because they're already there. Right. So I've got somebody who's making $1 million, a year. And I'm like, okay, I want to be with that person, but I also want to have somebody that's making less than I'm making. Okay. And people are like, well, why would you want to do
that, John?
Well, okay. Thanks for the softball, Wendy. I appreciate that. Well, here's the thing. Okay. If you've got somebody who's killing it, right? Maybe they haven't had as much time or whatever in the business, but they're up and comer and things like that. Number one, they're probably full of fresh ideas, right? And number two, I want to pay it forward. Somebody help me, right? That's what this whole thing is about, guys. It's not about winning. It's about winning in general, but it's about understanding what's going on in the big picture, right? And how can I win and show Wendy how to win and show 5 other people how to win? Because here's the real secret. There is enough to go around for everybody. Okay, there is. Yeah. And so I've made the decision. I don't want to come out of, into my life from a position of scarcity, that mindset of scarcity. I want a mindset of plenty. Okay. So I want to bring somebody else up and show them, hey, here's what you can do and how you can do what I do. And I'm going to steal that energy from them and steal those, not steal those ideas, but I'm going to brainstorm with them, and we're going to come up with stuff together because they've got a fresh set of eyes on it. They got a fresh perspective. Okay. But I also want the person that's already walked down the road I'm on.
Right.
So I can miss those potholes, those treacherous zones, and miss that stuff, just like you do with your kids. You're not going to let them walk into things and put their hand on the fire and stuff like that. No, you're going to teach them not to do that because you may have done it before.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to have those other 3 people. Social media, because that's the world we're in. That's a major piece of your business, whether you're doing it or not. It's a major piece of your business, right? And the other part, having those 2 people, one you can follow their lead, and one you're leading along, and it's going to help you stay sharp, and it's also going to help you keep a fresh perspective, and you're also going to have a guide, a sage, if you will, in the business. So, those are my bonus. What are your thoughts on that, Wendy?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing to having someone that you're learning from who's newer. I was sitting at a conference next to this multi-million-dollar a year earner in network marketing named Jeff. And Jeff has been in the industry forever, and he has 800,000 people on his team, just massive. He's one of the top earners, I think, in the world. And I sat with him at 2 different conferences, and he's on the front row taking notes, paying full attention to every single speaker. And every single speaker had way less experience than him and way less income. And I said, Jeff, you just come and you keep learning and learning. I said, you make so much money. Why are you so attentive and leaning in? He goes, because how can I help new people on my team if I don't know what's happening? Right. I can keep doing things the old school way and be set with my income, or I can lean in and learn from these young people that have these new, fresh ideas and be able to pour that into my people too. Yeah. And I was like, that was one of the most impactful conversations for me, just understanding leadership and understanding that we never, ever stop learning. It doesn't matter how far we've gone and how much money we've made.
No. And you see that a lot with entrepreneurs too. They feel like, okay, I've arrived, so I don't really need to do this. I'm too cool for school. I'm not going to take notes.
They're in the back. They're
it's kind of, Mr. and Miss Important, Mrs. Important, back there doing whatever. And it's one of those things, if I'm going to give somebody my time, okay, and I'm gonna do everything I can to be here now. I'm gonna give somebody my time. I'm gonna learn something. Yeah. Okay, I don't care if it's one golden nugget. I'm gonna walk away with it, and that golden nugget may be how not to do something.
Right.
Okay, but if I'm gonna give somebody my time, and that's the way you should approach everything, because nobody knows everything. Nobody's the best at anything, right? They may be pretty dang good at it, but there's always room for improvement. And the minute you stop growing in your mind, you tell yourself that I know it all. I don't need to know this, blah, blah, blah. That's when you start to fail. That's when you start dying, right? And that's when your business starts slipping up. That's when you get a little slower on the moves, right? And it's one of those things that you've got to keep it fresh. You've got to keep that perspective and always keep pushing yourselves, with regards to your personal goals, your financial goals, and things like that. And, to kind of close this out, that's where you have this team of people to help you get there, because they're going to bring a fresh set of eyes. If you're the only one talking to yourself, it's going to get stale really, really fast. So I'm going to close with that little burst of wisdom there. But again, Wendy, thanks for being here. Everybody, do me a favor. Do me a favor and subscribe, share this information. It's all about watch, learn, subscribe, and share, right? That's what the whole Money Moves is all about. And we're here every Tuesday, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And stop sitting on the sidelines. Get in the game, learn the rules, and let's go make some money moves.